Growing an IT business, a service-based business, where our product is frankly our team and our customer service, it can be very challenging to know when to hire, another engineer or more engineers or whatever it may be. And in this video, I'll kind of talk about the things that I've learned over the years. Now we have 20 plus employees, and hopefully this is useful for you on your journey as an MSP in when to hire. There are kind of some data points. One of my favorite was put out by Taylor Business Group. You take your monthly recurring revenue, and 33% of that revenue is the budget that you should be spending on engineer and technician-based salaries. And it's one of my favorite indicators to kind of watch in a spreadsheet and know, okay, we've got $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and we can spend $33,000 on salaries for engineers and technicians to service that book of business. So it's one of the great indicators, I feel, to kind of keep tabs on. You don't have to be perfect, right? I think, just be within reason and be within that window. Certainly as we've grown, here now in this kind of $3 to $5 million mark, I think the clients get a little bit more resource intensive, and you're trying to really build out a robust team and different layers, and you want to bring in, VCIO and account management. And so I've found that at this level, we're probably going to be a little bit more heavy on technicians, and we're going to have, maybe be a little bit over budget, so to speak, as we continue to kind of scale through this season of business. I think when we were smaller, one of the things that I was, very dedicated to was just keep hiring good engineers, right? If we can get great level 2 or level 3 capable people, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, I feel that, we were able to get more done because of that, versus, you just finding maybe level 1s or guys who are kind of green. Does take a lot of time to train and get them up to speed, lesson learned, or in retrospect, I think the stronger quality team members that you can get up front, albeit expensive, is a good trade-off, especially when you're smaller. As you grow, I think the business and your clients will kind of guide you to, what other layers or people or team you need, right? At a certain point, you're probably managing a lot of projects, and there's a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces, and it's taxing probably you as the owner handling that stuff. That's the business is telling you, you've got to hire a project manager or a project lead who can, orchestrate all of those projects and, frankly, take that from, you as the owner's plate. So I think, in different seasons, your business and your clients are going to be kind of telling you where and whom you might need to hire. And, I don't think there's any one way that solves it. Really, it's as the business grows, the business starts talking to you, metaphorically, that, who you need to hire. Maybe one of the super important things that I've learned, and we were not the best at this early on, but we're really good at it now, at getting everything in documentation, right? And, even moving to a system of, employee onboarding that has a ton of documentation, a ton of training videos, a ton of, supplemental material versus just one person shadowing and training one person. Now as we're really trying to scale up, I want that material and that training and that onboarding to be a little bit more automated, a little bit more documented, so that, we can train 1, 2, 3 really quickly and really efficiently versus, just relying on a team member who's already here with that knowledge to be able to train. So I think documentation and SOPs and maybe even training videos, super important as you scale up. One of the areas that I think a lot of MSPs struggle to break free is probably your first hire, right? It's just you've been manning the ship, you're doing everything, and it's very uneasy and uncomfortable, to know when to hire. And I don't think there's any one right answer. I think it literally requires you to make that decision in your mind and never look back and just say, I'm ready to hire somebody. It's going to be a little bit risky. I don't necessarily know where I'm going to get the money, to be able to afford and those kinds of things, but freeing yourself up as the owner and the one-man band by hiring that first technician to take that workload off your plate, so then you can get out there and sell is exactly what you'll need to do, and you just got to decide and make that jump.